Good morning. You should be able to hear me now. So good morning, Europe. It's Thursday, the 12th of June. And we're just about to trade the Euro session. I have a couple of open positions. No biggie. We got core inflation numbers. I smell a rat. There's something really odd about how the DAX was trading. Notice how it on Tuesday was weak whilst the US was relatively strong. And that weakness continued during the night. Then we bounced to make a double top, cleared out the stops, and now we're back down again, and we're incredibly weak last night. This, of course, is including outside hours. So what's going on? I have no idea. I'm not really, but I don't know if you recall this, but a couple of trading days ago, I said to you, this is an significant development because the bar that you're seeing here. Let me. So the bar that you're seeing here on the daily. This is what a fishing technique looks like. You have an old high over here, but notice how the bears were not able to close below that low. There was no close. Yeah, fishing for stops, of course, but no close. And then over here you have a new high. Happy days. But the low of that new high now becomes crucial. That's like a line in the sand for at least for an analyst like me. And notice I said analyst, not trader, because I think you have to separate the two. When I do my research, I call myself an analyst, but then I have to go out and trade it, and that's where you have to bridge your knowledge and your emotions into action. And what I notice in my research, and I have traded this now for in 2025, my first real big trade was in 2015, where I shorted the Dow in May and ran it into August, and it was at that time my biggest trade ever. And it all started with an observation, actually a story that I'll tell you another time, but that what's really critical is if the market closes below the highest point. Yeah. Anyway, so that's why I'm thinking, well, we probably need to go down to this low here at 733. It seems like we're well on our way. Does look like I'm gonna get a pummeling in the Footsie, which has been really strong all week. So, but these are just my own trades, and if I'm losing on them, I won't. I haven't at any point put money back into the account. Just traded it back. So there you go. I haven't got a stop loss in the Footsie yet. Probably should just admit defeat here. If you notice the, if I show you the Footsie this week, you'll notice how every morning we've started strong, very strong move up. Yesterday morning very strong move up previous morning, very strong move up the morning after that, before that, very strong morning before that. So that has sort of been the theme in the Footsie. But I decided I was going to bet on the Footsie being swayed by the weakness in the DAX. And as of this moment, that's not happening. So here's the overnight range in the DAX. And well, there's most certainly weakness, relative weakness in the DAX compared to, say, the Footsie. It was also interesting for me. I was trading the US last night, and kind of a funny trade, and I'm sure that you've experienced this as well. But I was shorting up here, and you had to have had a fair amount of patience for that, and it wasn't an entry that was based on any particular mechanical approach. It was more, this market is strange because how can the DAX be so weak as it was? So this was happening in the DAX whilst the whilst the Dow was rallying. So I decided I'm going to take a short position up here. And then this candle here happened. I thought, okay, this is it. We're headed lower. And so I doubled up and got stopped out. Break even on the first. Pretty big loss on the second. New high. Thinking, okay, I won't go long at this point here. And walked away. And then came back and I saw it was down here. And I said, yeah, I think we've all been there. But it happens. So yeah, really taking it on the chin in the Footsie. So this obviously is not an official call in my channel. This is just a trade that I did myself before the open. So incredibly strong move. I would like to see the see if there's follow through on this before I bail on my long position, because there's also been a tendency for the early gains coming back down again. You can probably hear in my voice that I'm actually physically very tired. Did an insane amount of exercise yesterday. And then I didn't sleep so well. So let's see what we can make of it today. As I said, we do have PPI coming out. Core PPI is coming out an hour before the US markets open. If you're interested in what that could look like, what I'll show you is I'll show you how the DAX traded on that particular day back in May. Normally I will have this in a PowerPoint presentation, but it is on my other machine. So here's the DAX during PPI last month. As you can see for yourself, without factoring in the overnight range, you have a gap down, and about 3 to 4 bars in, you see the low of the day. And the next one was the 11th of April. There you have a gap up, and actually the high of the day is the very first bar. And before that, it was 13th of March. I won't show you any more than this because I don't know whether you find this interesting or not. So out of respect to those who don't, I will. But I do this quite religiously. I think it's a greater way of sharpening the mind for what's yet to come. So there you go. You make the low of the day about 3 or 4 bars in. This is on the 5-minute. So the Footsie is causing me issues, and now the DAX. I think if I just go back to the daily chart, we have an old low down here from beginning of June. It's 23,733. But what I would like to do is I'd like to show you what that would look like on a chart that doesn't show the overnight session. So we can agree that the low of the day so far has been 23,471, and so that's, let me draw that in, is here. So you can now see, okay, does that not look like, obviously this is a delayed chart, so this hasn't updated yet, so please bear that in mind, but we have just traded down here. So the old low was 740, and we have come down basically to that area. So does that qualify as a double bottom? Well, you can understand why the DAX is bouncing from this area. You may not be able to see it on this particular chart, but if you look at a 4-hour chart, you can see it better. But what's important to me is, okay, this actually happened during regular trading hours. So looking at this on the 4-hour chart, you may say it could be the conclusion of the intermediate downtrend. Just throwing out some timelines here, but basically we are in a trading range. So sort of armed with that knowledge, you then begin to go to work and go, okay, how do I actually trade this? Footsie is retreating a little bit. from the early highs. And I need to put a stop loss in on my position. Just want to look at the Footsie on the equivalent day. So here's the Footsie on the PPI number last month. You have a somewhat of a shaky start, gap down, and then about, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 10-minute bars in, you begin to close on bull bars high, mid-range bull bar high, and actually that was the low of the day. And then let's go to the 11th of April. There you have perhaps more aligned with what we're looking at today. Push higher off the open, but then sideways to lower for the next 2.5 hours. Then 13th of March, big push hop, bear bar, bull bar. Powerful combo when you then have follow through. And then 13th of Feb. Just a real strong bear bar and continuation. So now that's sort of the macro view, and now as a day trader I have to go in and go, okay, well, how do I make money from this information? I personally believe that traders that are perhaps less experienced at this game should increase their time frame. and wait for moves to begin before they jump on board. In fact, the same could be said for me, especially when I add to my winning trades. But 17 minutes in and we aren't exactly seeing the market building on anything. I put my stop loss up here. I don't actually think I need to have a stop loss up there. All I want to see is this market going to do what it did the previous 3 or 4 mornings, which is big flare up and then just drift and drift. Number 1 is the 15-minute bar. So number 2 is currently under development, and I have to wait 11 minutes for that to be completed. Factoring in the overnight range. I absolutely love this software. Fucking love it. The ease by which I get the information I need. No drawing boxes, just clickety click. Bar 1, by and large, is taking place inside the overnight range. I think if bar 2 closed where it was, I would still take a long position, because I think bar 1 touched an important low. Can't rule out that we need a retest of that area, but hey, I'm not a fortune teller either, so I just have to roll with the punches. But the way that bar 2 is shaping up, it's clear to everybody that no one is in a rush to do anything. I suppose the bulls are wondering, okay, is that it? Was 1 the final test? And the bears are saying, oh, no, we need a retest of this area. I look what I know, because this whole idea of talking about what the bulls are thinking, what the bears are thinking, to me is it's a vocabulary I find very difficult to get on board with, because I can swap from being bullish to bearish like a London taxi can turn on a dime. But if there really is this big camp of 2 opposing forces, the bulls and the bears, then I say that the bears have the upper hand and they're pushing for new lows below 1. While the bulls are saying, hang on, we want to step in and be a buyers of 1. And we have statistics on our side, because on this day, the lows seem to be shaped in the first 3 or 4 10-minute bars. Excuse me for 1 second. All right. Thank you. Still within a trading range, as you can see. But really interesting to see if we're going to get a close below the overnight range. Put my stop loss at 74. I think I'm going to add to my short position in the DAX. I'm going to add again. So you remember this here? What was the old low? It was 23,740. So we are now actually trading below that. Footsie, on the other hand, is not doing anything. I'm adding to my DAX here at 38. So it's risky to add at the low end of the swing. It becomes a question of, well, how many orders are resting below this area here? Are we going to have a cascade, or are we trading back into the range? So this blue line here signifies, I'll show you what the low of the day right now is down here. This is viewed from the perspective of so you can see we've just taken out the lows from a few days ago. And now it just becomes a question of, well, how low are we going to go? Are we going to go all the way down here, which is an enormous move? Or are we reversing back into what seems like a trading range? Yeah. Now this is a delayed chart, so this hasn't updated. But there you go. So now updated to the latest. So there you go. So I'm gonna start taking some profit here. Got a big profit. So close 10. Close to another 4. Excuse me. So this is basically me betting that we needed to go below this. Do I think we're gonna go all the way down here? Hey, anything's possible. Of course it is. But I'm content with what I just did here. I think that was relatively well played. Put the stop loss to break even. And the other. Footsie's just pissing me off. I thought that was a good demonstration on how to add to a winning trade and try to stay focused on the chart and the big picture. So that was what I was trying to do. Someone I really like and respect just said to me, "Wow, you're not joking with the add-ons." No, I am not. It's how you make your money. You push. You understand who's in trouble, and you push the strong side. So a friend of mine who I also respect, let's just call him Benjamin. He says, there's a lot of room to go. I say, I know, Benjamin. I absolutely agree with you. There could be a lot more in this. So it's just that fine balance between hearing the cash register ring and operating a channel like this where I think people, by and large, are far more short-term orientated. Well, we got a little bit riding. We got a stop loss at break even. Do you know that when we started the year, that was our full size, £2 a point. So now I have, as I posted last night, I have now grown this account from £10,000 up to 60. Well, I've withdrawn 42,000, and there's another 22,000 there. So what's that? 60. I made 64,000 in profit on a £10,000 account. Excuse me, so sorry. We didn't even get to take a school run. We just piled in, didn't we? I'm gonna close half my Footsie, give the benefit of the doubt on the other half. So I'm crystallizing half of the loss. Just excuse me for a sec. I just feel like I got a coughing fit coming. Let me just mute you for a sec. Better. I'm gonna just be a little on the quiet side, okay? Can I just say that doing this adding in the DAX in £4 a point It's a whole lot more fun when you're doing it in £200 a point. You know what the trick is? The trick is not to care about the size, but just focus on the chart. Is it? Isn't it? Will it? Won't it? So there's a person here who's asking me a question. They don't actually say what their name is. They say, "Good morning, Tom. I'm trying not to ask questions that can easily be researched on your resource channel, but I wasn't able to find an explanation of the espresso strategy. Could you point me in the right direction here?" That's really sweet, because sometimes I bite people's head off if it could be found. The espresso hasn't actually been committed to paper. And by the way, neither has the fishing technique. But on my to-do list over the summer in my break. I'm quiet. I'm not muted. I'm just quiet. So Benjamin, another Benjamin, saying, "Hey Tom, if you don't mind, could you please educate us about the add-on and why you took it, especially the second one in the range?" Well, go and look at the YouTube video. Yeah, look at the playback. It just looked weak to me. It just looked like, what, this, this is not. This is not a strong market. There was no signal. It was just, well, hang on, I shorted it here and now I'm in profit. So clearly I should be pushing my winners. It, you know, at times I operate with, I'll short 10 points or 15 points in profit. I think this comes down to your emotional disposition and what you are able to stomach. You don't have to do what I do, which is to double up, double up. I mean, you could just change stake size so that you almost pyramid. I skyscraper, but that's absolutely perfectly acceptable to add. The adding is a is a two-edged sword. You get the adding wrong on a sharp reversal, and then you're gonna puke your breakfast all over your keyboard. Because you've basically gone from being I'm in profit to what the hell? And I wouldn't say it was conviction, I would say it was experience. I think the market is surprised by how weak the DAX is. There's also the reason why I'm not doing anything with the FTSE, because I'm clearly on the wrong side. So just made new lows again at 8692. That means the low so far is there. And yet the Footsie is strong. Dancing to a different tune. Stand by to close the DAX. Actually, I close the DAX. I'm sure I'm gonna get stopped out of the Footsie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my session for this morning. I think I just need to go and look after my aching body, as it is. I'm gonna take a screenshot of all the trades now. I'm just gonna wait for the inevitable, which is that I'm gonna get stopped out of the Footsie. I think that's the inevitable. But and then I'll take a screenshot. There you go. Done. Done and done. So let's have a look at this. So how did we do? 50. Call that 290, 390, 460, 540, 440, 340, 240, 320, 320 pounds. There you go. Live from somewhere in the world. Thank you so much for being here. It is a pleasure to trade with you. I decided just to bail out on my last DAX position. Clearly not the right decision to make. But nevertheless, that's what I did. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you for the US session, I hope. So hope I feel a little bit better. So thanks a lot, and bye for now.